Hello, Roland here. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a dog lover. I've had dogs as pets for most of my life, and sometimes two dogs at once. But as much as I love dogs, there are times when I'm dismayed by how much reverence our culture places on animal life, especially in comparison to the lack of reverence we often place on human life. For example, there was an international firestorm recently over Marius, a giraffe at a zoo in Denmark who was euthanized for being genetically unsuitable. This caused such an enormous uproar that the zoo's officials received death threats. Recently, I thought about another situation involving dogs where we seem to regard animal life as more sacred than human life. I was thinking about the way we view and deal with dog pregnancies. First, think about pregnancy in three phases: before the pregnancy, during the pregnancy, and after the pregnancy. Because we value dogs' lives so highly and we want to ensure that no dog has a bad life, we place an enormous amount of emphasis on preventing unwanted dog pregnancies. Think about the countless times that you've heard spay and neuter your pets. After puppies are born, we place an enormous amount of emphasis ensuring that they are raised in good homes. We educate people about responsible dog ownership and how to properly care for their dogs. For example, we discourage giving dogs as holiday gifts because of the higher odds that they'll be abandoned. If owners choose not to care for their dogs, we encourage them to put them up for adoption. We have rigorous screening processes to ensure that the dog is placed in a good home. We have no-kill shelters. We have multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns, all to encourage pet adoption. And even when adoption doesn't work, we encourage foster care for dogs so they can have a place to stay until they find a forever home. So, before and after the dog pregnancy, we take great strides as a culture to ensure that no dog has a bad life. But how about during the dog pregnancy? As far as I can tell, we do very little to touch puppies' lives while they're in the womb. In fact, as a lifetime dog owner, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as abortions for dogs. There is, kind of, but we don't even refer to it as an abortion. It's considered a more complicated spaying procedure that many vets feel uncomfortable performing. Think about it this way. Our culture is very uncomfortable with the idea that there are vets who would euthanize pregnant dogs. Why are we so uncomfortable with this? I'll get to that in a moment. Now let's contrast all this with how we respond to human pregnancies. Again, the assumption behind our behavior is that we want to make sure that no child has a bad life. But if you think about it, the vast majority of our culture's time and energy is spent on the period during the pregnancy. Sure, there's a lot of talk about preventing pregnancies through birth control. And you know, it's funny, our culture seems more interested in promoting abstinence with dogs than with people. And our culture also says that it's interested in making sure that parents are equipped to care for their children, although there's a lot more that could be done in this area, and that's a topic for another live chat. But in a relative sense, the emphasis we place on a woman's pregnancy themselves is astronomical. And this is where it gets troubling. Our culture appears to view unborn puppies as more untouchable, dare I say, more sacred than unborn babies. I say this because in our effort to ensure that no dog has a bad life, we place most of our emphasis on the period before and after the dog's pregnancy, but leave the puppies alone while they're in the womb. But that's exactly the opposite of what we do with people. We leave puppies alone while they're in the womb, but we don't do the same for unborn babies. And I think I know why our culture does this. It's because we humanize puppies, even when they're in the womb, while we dehumanize humans, especially when they're in the womb. Think about it this way. Could you imagine the outrage if a new public education campaign to control the dog population was about making sure that all dogs facing unplanned pregnancies were rounded up, taken to vets, and had their unborn puppies aborted? Would it matter if we justified this behavior by claiming we were doing it to ensure that no dog had a bad life? But this is what happens every day with abortion in our country. Over 3,000 innocent human lives are taken each day, and we're told this is done in a baby's best interest, so that they won't have a bad life. Well, as much as I love puppies, I think that we should treat babies better than puppies. To do otherwise is just doggone crazy. Until next time, may God bless you daily as you serve him faithfully.